Video games are bigger than ever. Billions of people play games every day for fun, but for some, it quickly spirals out of control. That's because not all gaming is created equal. So today, I'm going to break down the 6 levels of gaming addiction. I know because as a former hardcore gamer, I've lived through these levels myself, even all the way up to level 6. And trust me, when you get to see what level 6 looks like, you won't believe your eyes. I'll tell you more about my journey as we go along, but more importantly, today, let's see what level you have, starting with level 1. At this level, you are completely unaffected by video games. Probably, you just don't play games at all. Or maybe you've tried a mobile game once or twice out of curiosity. Before I ever picked up a controller, I was actually this person. As a young kid, I was always outside, playing sports, riding bikes with friends, building forts. Gaming wasn't really on my radar at all. I remember seeing my cousins playing Nintendo and kind of wondering what the big deal was. I just didn't get it. I was too busy focusing on hockey to care. And that's what this level looks like. You simply fill your time with other activities. Maybe you like to play sports, or read, or do creative things like music or art. Or maybe you're really outgoing and just like spending time with your friends in person. Now I need to mention it, but at this level, you're not against gaming. It's just something you aren't particularly interested in, or something you care for. But here's what's really interesting about people who don't play video games. They still have the same needs that gamers are trying to satisfy. They still have a need for challenge, a pursuit of achievement, a desire for social connection, and of course, a need to just relax and be entertained sometimes. So it's not that they have different needs than gamers, they just meet those needs in other ways. Now, if you're curious about how you could do that, then check the link in the description where I have a list of 60 plus other hobby ideas that you can do instead of gaming. So this first level is what I call the outsider. Someone who simply doesn't have gaming as part of their life. No harm, no foul. They just prefer to do other things. But now let's look at the next level, where you start gaming on a regular basis, but in a healthy way. When I first started gaming at 11 years old, this was me. I'd play Pokemon on my Game Boy after school a few times a week, but I was still playing hockey, riding bikes with my friends outside, and doing okay at school. At level 2, you play games like most people watch Netflix. It's just one of many activities that you enjoy. Maybe you're playing Pokemon on your Switch or hop into a game of Roblox with your friends from time to time. But when you play, you have a clear start and stop time, and playing doesn't interfere with your responsibilities. You can easily put the controller down when dinner's ready or when your friends invite you outside. What sets you apart at this level is your control over gaming, rather than gaming controlling you. When a new game comes out, you might be excited to play, but you're not going to rearrange your life to do it. If you've ever heard of studies that show gaming having positive benefits, things like improved problem-solving skills or better hand-eye coordination or improvements to your social life, this is the level gaming required to achieve those. The key trait here is balance. Gaming enhances your life rather than consumes it. It's a want to rather than a need to activity. This is what I call the hobbyist, someone who enjoys gaming as one of many healthy activities in their life. But what happens when gaming starts to consume more of your time and your mind? Well, pay close attention, because at level 3, the warning signs I'm about to share are proof that gaming isn't just another hobby anymore. Instead, it's become the hobby that you choose over all others. The first game that really captured my attention was StarCraft. I remember one Christmas, my cousin was playing it in my dad's office, and it just looked like so much fun. I loved the strategy behind the game and the skill it required to be competitive. I was a Zerg player, by the way, but I loved StarCraft a little bit too much, and would spend hours reading about builds on Team Liquid forums and spending any extra time I could mastering my timings. I would even spend time before playing warming up with Osu and following the Korean pro scene. Now at this level, I found myself staying up later than I should. I would always want to play just one more game. Instead of spending time on the weekends improving my hockey skills, I would tell my parents I was too tired and spend that time playing StarCraft instead. And oh boy, if I didn't get to play one game, I'd be so upset. Just look at this picture of me on a family vacation in Italy. At level 3, you'll always be rushing assignments to get back to your game as quickly as possible. And you're spending more and more money on in-game purchases that you shouldn't. And you're irritable when you can't play. But despite these changes, you'll still believe everything's under control and continue pushing the boundaries further and further, unaware of where this path ultimately leads. What makes this stage tricky is that it often flies under the radar. You can still function in your daily life. Your grades might have slipped a bit, but you're still passing. You might be tired at work, but you're still showing up. The biggest red flag here, when you're not gaming, you're always thinking about it. So it's not just occupying your time, it's occupying your mind. This concerning shift in your priorities is what I call the prioritizer. This is the level where gaming begins to take precedence over other important aspects of your life, and the downward spiral of your life has begun, leading to level 4. At this level, you don't just play games for fun anymore. You play to avoid life. This is where gaming has changed from a place of an innocent source of entertainment into something much more concerning. Here's what level 4 looked like for me. When I was 13, I started being bullied at school. Honestly, it was really bad, and I had very little control over what other kids did at school. But where did I have control? On my computer playing video games. Gaming became my sanctuary, the place where I felt safe, powerful, and in control. I also started playing a different game at this time, World of Warcraft. It was my escape from reality. Now, this is where a lot of people will say if I was being bullied at school, gaming was actually helping me. And in that specific context, it was. But solving one problem created another. That's because what defines this level is the motivation behind your play. When life gets stressful, which is entirely normal, like getting a bad grade or having an argument with your parents or a difficult situation like the bullying I went through, gaming becomes your safe space. It's predictable, controllable, and much more rewarding than reality. But here's an important distinction. Level 4 is not just about stress relief, it's about avoidance. Instead of getting a break from life for a minute to play some games and then dealing with whatever you need to deal with, instead you're gaming to escape and avoid. This only creates more stress in your life, which then leads to more gaming to escape. It's a vicious cycle. At this stage, the consequences you experience aren't just mixed up priorities anymore. Instead, your physical and mental health start showing decline. I was staying up all night playing, skipping meals causing me to be pale and skinny. And I even stopped playing hockey, so I was just sitting at my computer all day and never moving my body. At level 4, you will rationalize your gaming by saying that life sucks and gaming is awesome. So why shouldn't you just play all day long? It's what you enjoy and what you're good at. But unfortunately, this only leads you further into games and also further behind in life. The most telling sign is when you can't play, you're visibly irritated, agitated, or restless. This happens because your brain has formed dependency pathways with video games, similar to other behavioral addictions. You can learn more about how gaming affects the brain in the video up here. I call this level the escapist. Gaming has become your primary coping mechanism, using games not for fun, but to run away from reality. This is an important crossroads. Many gamers recognize the warning signs here and they pull back, while others slide deeper into level 5. At this stage, your life has fundamentally changed. Gaming isn't just something you do, it's who you are. You live and breathe gaming. So what exactly happens when gaming becomes your entire identity? Well, the answer might shock you, and it explains why so many gamers find themselves trapped in a cycle they feel powerless to break. By 17, I had fully adopted the identity of a gamer. I wasn't Cam anymore. I was my WoW character, and my self-worth was completely tied to how well I was doing in the game. When raids went well, I felt amazing. But when we failed, I'd rage quit, slam my desk, or verbally abuse my guildmates. What defines level 5 is that your emotional state is now directly controlled by what happens in the game. You experience euphoria when winning and crushing despair when losing. The game is no longer just an activity. It's the central pillar of your emotions. My time in the physical world also shrunk drastically. I basically hopped out of bed straight into my gaming chair and sometimes didn't even bother showering or eating at all. Touching grass was merely a meme, not an everyday experience. Most, if not all of my friends were online, and the important relationships outside of games had become severely damaged. School was essentially over for me at this point. I'd either failed all my classes or dropped them altogether. And the constant arguments with my family just reinforced my belief that nobody understood me. Only my online friends did. In my mind, I'd convinced myself that everyone was just overreacting. And you might think this is as bad as it gets. But level 6 takes things to an extreme that most people can't even imagine. While working with thousands of gamers over the past decade, I've seen behavior so shocking that even as a hardcore gamer, I've been disturbed. I'll reveal these just in a minute. But all this gaming has taken a toll on your body as it's in a constant state of stress and overstimulation. You might be experiencing weird headaches, back problems, carpal tunnel syndrome, or significant eye strain. Yet despite all these negatives in your life, you continue to play. That's because at level 5, gaming isn't a decision anymore. It's a compulsion. The complete surrender of choice is what makes this the obsessed. You can't stop playing, even though you're fully aware that you should. Yet even this level pales in comparison to the final stage, level 6. You've now reached the final and most severe stage, one that represents complete detachment from reality. At this level, your online world has fully replaced the outside one. I know because I lived at this level for years. When I was playing WoW 16 hours a day, I was completely disconnected from reality. The only thing I cared about was playing WoW more and more. And because of that, anything that got in the way had to go. When I had classes to go to in high school, I got rid of them. When my parents said you need to get a job if you're not going to school, I lied to them about fake jobs. I was truly AFK from life. Yet none of these consequences even mattered because I no longer valued things outside the gaming world. The only thing I cared about was playing more and more. This is the disconnect from reality I'm talking about. Now, the most heartbreaking aspect of this level is that you pretend that you no longer care. You pretend you don't want to make money or have a life partner or move out of your parents' house. Yet deep down, you go to bed every night knowing the truth. You know you're wasting your life, but you feel powerless to change it. And every time you log into the game, you feel both relief and pure depression. This is the cycle of addiction in its purest form. At this stage, physical signs of addiction will be shocking to anyone other than yourself. Your room becomes a biohazard zone with trash everywhere and dirty clothes piled all over the floor. You might not even be showering anymore for days or weeks at a time. It's truly gross. Now prepare yourself. But I've even worked with clients who had trash bags full of diapers in their room because they would refuse to stop gaming to use the bathroom. The smell alone would drive most people away. But then again, no one visits them anymore anyways. This self-imposed isolation is the equivalent of solitary confinement. At this level, you're completely dependent on your family or social systems just to survive. You can't hold a job. You contribute nothing financially to the household. You might even be 30 years old living in your parents' basement or surviving on government assistance. And without these support systems, you would literally be homeless. I even know of some cases where gaming addicts were living in their car and using the Starbucks Wi-Fi in the parking lot to get their gaming fix. This final stage is what I call the degenerate. It's when you've completely checked out of reality in order to play with pixels on a screen. Now, here's what makes this journey so important to understand. Gaming addiction doesn't just steal your time. It steals your potential. When I look back at all those years now, I don't just see wasted time. I see dreams I didn't pursue, friendships I lost, and skills I didn't develop. And the longer you stay trapped, the further behind you're going to be. But here's the good news. Even at level 6, it's possible to turn your life around. It's possible to change and build a great life again. And I'm living proof of that. So now let me share how it happened. One night, I was laying in bed and I was totally depressed and unhappy with my life. This is somewhat ironic because at the time I was playing video games all day long. Yet I wasn't truly happy with my life. I was deeply depressed. Was this all my life was meant to be? No. I knew I was meant for something so much more. So I realized I had an important choice to make. Either I continued down this path that clearly wasn't working, or I made a change. At the time, I didn't really know if a change would even work, but I figured I had no other option than to try. So I thought, what if I actually tried to pursue my goals instead of just gaming all day? I was curious what would be possible. What could I achieve? Could I even figure out how to be happy? And so that's what I did. I decided to stop gaming and give my life a real chance. I started focusing on totally new things. I started working, making new friends, and pushing myself outside my comfort zone. I found new hobbies, new passions, and over time even fell in love. Rather than trying to be the best gamer I could, I started trying to be the best person I could. I started making my life better than any video game. And it was this decision that helped me go from totally addicted to gaming, playing 16 hours a day, to having zero desire to play. And it happened almost overnight. So now let me help you identify your level. If you game occasionally with clear boundaries, you're at level 2. If you're prioritizing games over other activities, you're at level 3. If you're using games to escape problems, you're at level 4. If your identity and emotions are tied to gaming, you're at level 5. And if your life has completely deteriorated because of gaming, you're at level 6. So what level are you at? Share yours with the community in the comments below. No matter what stage you're at, you can change. For some, that means setting boundaries and keeping it a hobby rather than a compulsion. And for others, especially those at levels 5 or 6, it might mean stepping away completely for a while. What I suggest as the best starting point is to start with the 90-day detox. It will give you a break from gaming to really assess where your life is at and what you really want to do with it. And hey, you don't have to do this alone. Come join us on Discord where thousands of gamers just like you are supporting each other through this journey. The link is in the description below. Remember, this isn't about demonizing games. It's about reclaiming your life. Because the most exciting game you could ever play, it's the one happening right now in the real world. And you're the main character. To learn more about the detox, watch this video.